Big debate tomorrow night in Pennsylvania. Everybody's going to be watching. This is a look at the House races right now, Dana. And so many times there are these races that we never really get a chance to look at. We mentioned this about 2 weeks ago in Rhode Island. This is competitive. Alan Fung was a guest on our show. He's the former mayor of Cranston. In a normal year, this would never even be on our radar, but it is this year. A few other races here in the Northeast. See all the tabs over here, Dana? I mean, how few times do we click on the tabs?
Right.
It doesn't happen a lot, all right? That was Rhode Island. This is Connecticut now, and there's a big push here in the western part of the state. Show you George Logan right now running a pretty good campaign. We'll see whether or not it breaks that way, but Connecticut, that's a really tough state for Republicans to compete in, but it appears, at least on paper right now, that they're doing that because of the issues and what's happening given the governance of Democrats in Washington and on behalf of Joe Biden. Here's another one. This will be late into the night, okay? But don't take your eye off of, or mentioned Washington State a moment ago, don't take your eye off. This is Portland right here in Salem. These congressional races, number 6 here, we're watching that with Mike Erickson. Over here in number 5, a lot of these districts have been redrawn. They've got very progressive candidates running in Oregon. That might be the flavor for the political vote in Oregon this year, or maybe people are starting to see what's happening in Portland can't continue after what they've seen over the past 3 years. And also Oregon 4 as it stretches down to the West Coast down there. Just a few of them. Dana, I could spend an hour over here and show you. I'd show you 24 more races, but all of these races in many ways are considered toss-ups, or if they're leaning Democrats, some of these pollsters right now are starting to push them or pull them possibly into the centered lane. So we'll watch that 15 days out. More with you now, Dana.
Well, now let's bring in RNC Chairwoman Ronna McDaniel. So you've been out and about in the country, Ronna. Is there a moment on the campaign trail that you felt, oh, wait, this is really going the Republicans' way right now?
Yeah, I've been everywhere. I've been Georgia, North Carolina, Pennsylvania. I was just in Nevada and Colorado. Listen, I feel it everywhere, Dana. I think the momentum's on our side. Our volunteers are very fired up. We're seeing this in early voting as well. I'll say I had an event with Oz where I really felt it, where he talked about fentanyl, and a mom raised a picture of her daughter who had just died of fentanyl. And I think it just solidified that Republicans are talking about the issues that are really mattering and hitting home for voters, and Democrats are continuing to miss the mark.
And fentanyl, can you just talk about fentanyl in the Colorado race, the House race there?
Yeah, so fentanyl in the House race there, Barb Kirkmeyer is one of our top pickups. It's an open seat in the Denver area, running against a Democrat candidate, Caraveo, who actually voted to legalize fentanyl when she was in the state Senate. I mean, this is just so dangerous. They've had a 42% increase in fentanyl coming into Colorado. It is really dangerous. It's a big issue in that state, and I think that's going to be one of the key issues in that House seat, which is a pickup seat for the Republican Party. And Barb Kirkmeyer is a great candidate, a dairy farmer. I was campaigning with her yesterday, and that's a really strong seat for us to pick up.
You're touring right now with Rick Scott all over the country. You're hitting a ton of states. We talk a lot about what appears to be good news for Republicans. But yet in some of the polling, 3 of the 4 congressional districts in Iowa are said to be contested. I don't know why. Maybe you can explain that. And in the early voting in Georgia, African-American turnout said to be substantial. Does that concern you? What does that say to you? How do you look at both of those states, Iowa and Georgia?
Yeah, I look at Iowa. I mean, we knew Ashley Hinson was going to have a tough race. We're trying to take on Cindy Axne. We have a great candidate in Zach Nunn. I think Iowa's solid. You've got Chuck Grassley, obviously, and Kim Reynolds there. I think there's been some outlier polls that are just not hitting the mark there. Georgia, yes, early voting's up, which, first of all, totally shows that Joe Biden and Stacey Abrams were lying when they were saying these laws were Jim Crow 2.0 and we're going to suppress turnout. You've had record turnout in early voting. We feel good about it. The energy's on the Republican side. We feel good at the numbers we're seeing. And we think there's African-American voters coming out for Herschel Walker.
Well, you know,
and we hope this momentum carries through Election Day.
Ronna, you know who doesn't feel so good about things? Bernie Sanders. This is him on younger voter turnout. Watch here.
I am worried about the level of voter turnout among young people and working people who will be voting Democratic. Crime is a real issue. Violence is a real issue. This drug problem and the addiction to drugs and the violence that drug causes is a huge problem all over this country.
Yeah, but we cover these issues every day, and it wasn't until recently that the Democrats even started talking about this.
Yeah, I'm stunned to hear him say that, because the latter half of those conversations should be, and it's being caused by Democrats. Democrats support cashless bail. They support an open border. They're fine with defunding the police. I mean, this is what they've been pushing, and now we're seeing the aftermath of these dangerous policies, and people are waking up. The Democrats have chosen to ignore these issues, but they can't ignore what voters are dealing with every day when they worry about riding the subway, when they worry about their stores being looted. And Democrats, time and time again, have been pro-criminal, and that's what's hurting Fetterman in his race and Mandela Barnes in his race in Wisconsin.
Ronna, do you have an hour?
I would love to talk for an hour. I love this stuff.
Maybe next time. Thank you
Thank you
so much. Thank you for your time. We'll talk down the road.
Thanks, guys.
You bet.
Hey, it's Will Kane. Click here to subscribe to the Fox News channel on YouTube. It's the best way to get our latest interviews and highlights. And click to subscribe to the Will Kane podcast for full episodes right now.